Hi, I'm Dennis Coleman from Accountants Desktop. This video will demonstrate our BAS JobPaper for 2024, which is a working paper solution for your clients' activity statements. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up below, and don't miss any of our future videos by clicking on the subscribe button. These are the important features about our BAS Working Paper solution. There's just one multi-sheet Excel file, which you download from our website and save with other client records in your document management system. Importantly, you can keep all of your BAS reports and working papers for a client for the entire year together in one file for easy reference when preparing subsequent activity statements or annual accounts. You can reconcile GST, wages, super and pay-as-you-go withholding for each period. Our Excel file produces a draft activity statement for each period with key figures to be shown at the relevant form labels. You'll also see here a summary of the reconciliation balances for those key figures for each form. You can calculate variations to GST, pay-as-you-go instalments and FBT instalments. An annual BAS is automatically updated as you complete each period, and at the end of the financial year you can copy that summary to the client's annual accounts working paper file. Data can be loaded into this file using our import Excel routine or manually loaded by copying and pasting. Any other data can be added by posting screenshots, although Excel data is by far the best way to populate your file because you can work with numbers using standard Excel features. This is a sample of our BAS JobPaper. When you first open the file, you'll see our help sheet with information about any updates, some basic information on using the workbook, and some handy Excel tips. By far the best way to navigate around this file is by using the customised Accountants menu at the top of the screen, which will be visible when you first open the file. The dashboard is where you can see a summary of the contents of the entire file. A green tick alongside any item shows which sheets are in use. The job management and status sections display the total number of items in each sheet, along with the number of outstanding. The file contains several job management sheets to keep track of your work. They include a customizable procedures checklist, a to-do list, a query sheet, a communications sheet for things like emails and telephone conversations, a file notes sheet, and a records sheet where you can import or paste any supporting records used to complete the work. There are specific sheets for GST, Payroll, PAYG Instalments, and FBT for each period. I'll come back to each of these sheets shortly to look at them in more detail. The activity statement sheet displays a draft copy of each form with form labels and reconciliation balances. And the integrated client account sheet is where you import the ATO reports for each period. The BAS Summary is automatically updated each time you enter data at the relevant tax worksheets. And finally, there are 40 unprotected DIY sheets available for use for any purpose. Looking at each of the individual sheets for activity statement taxes, we'll start with GST. I've exported a GST report from the client's accounting system for the September quarter. To import that report using our import Excel routine, I select the period, select the cell where I want the report to start loading. I choose Import Excel from the Accountants menu, select the file and sheet, and double click on that worksheet to import the report. I then record the amounts of GST collected and paid at the summary table on the left. To reconcile amounts in the GST report with the profit and loss statement, click on the link in the amount column for that period. And I've already imported a profit and loss statement for the period using the same technique as just demonstrated. I then complete the summary at the top of the reconciliation sheet, showing total revenue, purchases and other direct costs, overhead expenses, and I also have an amount of capital subject to GST. These amounts are then subjected to the GST at 10% and compared with the amount on our GST reports. You should check any differences in this summary to ensure that whatever figures may be there are within your tolerance level. Figures in the GST summary table will be transferred to the BAS summary. To reconcile GST owing in the balance sheet, click on the link in that column in the summary table to the left, and you'll see at this screen I've already imported a balance sheet and reconcile the closing balance of GST with the figures in our GST reports and summary. There may be times when a client is paying GST based on an ATO instalment and you need to vary that amount. You enter the ATO instalment amount here and click on GST instalment variation calculations, where you can enter projected sales and purchases with GST to quickly calculate the expected annual GST liability and the amount payable for the quarter. The estimated annual GST liability is now $7,000 and the amount payable for the quarter is $1,750. You enter that amount or a figure based on that amount at the GST instalments table under varied amount. The payroll sheet will allow you to keep a summary of payroll reports for the client for any relevant period to support figures shown on each BAS. Once again, I have imported a payroll report from the client's accounting system into the September 2023 quarter and entered totals to the summary table on the far left side. Clicking on the profit and loss and balance sheet links in that summary will take you to the reconciliation area of that sheet to compare the figures with your general ledger balances. I can use the inbuilt ticks and crosses to confirm these amounts. This is the PAYG instalment sheet, where your client is paying a PAYG instalment based on option 2, the rate method. You can paste a copy of a profit and loss statement for the period to show the instalment income that must be shown on the BAS. You can then enter the ATO instalment rate at the table, and the worksheet will calculate the amount payable and transfer it to the BAS summary. You can see that the report has already been pasted and figures in the table updated. However, if you need to vary the PAYG instalment rate or amount, click on the variation link and you'll be able to enter estimates of annual income and expenses, calculate taxable income and tax payable, and work out the relevant rate on the client's instalment income or calculate the instalment amount for that period. It's important to make sure that all of the information needed for the variation, such as PAYG cycle, company type, instalment method, and the quarterly situation if applicable, have been appropriately selected at the top of the sheet. It's also important to show details of prior activity statements so that should there be a credit available, it can be correctly calculated. You can use this FBT sheet to enter FBT instalment amounts and to calculate any variation. For variations, enter details of projected fringe benefits at the table to estimate the annual liability and the amount owing for this quarter. The BAS summary is automatically updated as you enter information to other sheets. At the end of the financial year, you can copy and paste the summary to the client's annual accounts job paper file. Thank you for watching this video on our BAS Working Papers. If you liked the video, please give it the thumbs up below, and don't miss any of our future videos by clicking on the subscribe button. My details are on screen, so please feel free to contact me for any further information.